Hey Jesus, HJ here! But what GD level has the most objects? This seems like an easy question to answer, right? I mean, just get a bunch of levels, check their object counts and see which one has the highest one. But which one is it? Is it Astral Divinity? or maybe it's Ocular Miracle? No. The correct answer is Corn by Hota 1991. With a grand total of over 1 million objects, this level is the most massive GD has ever seen. But there's a problem. You see, Corn on the GD servers is actually split into 7 parts, which no one has ever been successful in combining into one. In fact, it is impossible. No one has a PC powerful enough to combine Corn's parts into one without your game crashing immediately. And so, for that reason, we may want to discount it. Because while it may have the most objects, it is not one whole level. It's many parts that combined together have a lot of objects. That is okay though, because there are more levels out there than just Corn, and if we set a requirement that the level has to be in one piece, then the level with the most objects turns out to be Gaiden Hertunis mega collab, Ocular Miracle. Ocular Miracle has the most objects out of any full finished level, and unlike with Corn, there aren't any issues. So, video over? No. Because there are other ways of measuring which level has the most objects, and for that we need to whip out the D. Density. Density, as defined mathematically, is an object's mass over its volume, but GD levels don't have mass or volume. I mean, they're just images on a computer screen. But we can find different substitute variables for these. So for our equation for average object density, let's use the object count of our level divided by its length. Specifically, let's use 1,000 objects per single second. Or, if you wanna be cool, kilo objects per second. Now this is getting interesting, because as it turns out, adding length as a variable changes the rankings a lot. Ocular Miracle may have a lot of objects, but it is also 5 minutes long, so it only has 2.55 thousand objects per second. And at that rate, it's only the 11th densest level in GD. By the way, what we'll be using for ranking levels by density is a spreadsheet I put together. In case you'd like to check it out, there's a link to it in the description. The longer the level, the more an effect time has on its density. For example, True Values of Life by Relax has over 850,000 objects, but because the level is also 49 minutes long, it only has 290 objects per second. In fact, out of the top 10 densest levels in Geometry Dash, only one is longer than 2 minutes, Corn. But now that I mentioned the top 10 densest levels, what are they? Let's go through them, shall we? To kick us off, the 10th densest level in GD is actually won by me, Zenith, at 2.78 thousand objects per second. While that isn't still as dense as me, hey, that's pretty good. As a side note, Zenith isn't the densest part I have ever made. That title goes to my part in Ocular Miracle, which clocks in at 4.5 thousand objects per second. But now, let's get back to checking out the top 10 densest levels in GD, because at number 9 we have A Daydream Journey by Azertop. A level with 336,000 objects and a length of just below 2 minutes, its density is 2.82 thousand objects per second. As I mentioned before, Corn is still in the top 10 densest levels at position 8 with 3.14 thousand objects per second. And above it at place 7 we have Astral Divinity, Nobelboy's masterpiece at 3.39 thousand objects per second. Now we're entering the big territory, as the next level has 4.15 thousand objects per second. It is Ultra Satanic Circles by FRF. But don't get too excited yet, because we're only now entering the top 5 densest levels in GD. Clocking in at number 5 is Xylenox's sequel to everyone's favorite Leafy Fusion level, Requiem. While Killbot has a density of 1.41, Requiem has cranked that all the way up to 4.24. The next 3 are all quite similar, as they are all amazing looking solo levels. At number 4, we have Futhefax's Amethyst Valley with a density of 4.32. And at number 3, Starlight Carnival by F5 Night with a density of 4.51. And at number 2, Enantiomorphs by Lucasuela99 with a whopping 4.80 thousand objects per second. Keep in mind that the levels we're talking about right now are so dense that if you build at the same density, you would hit the 80,000 object limit at only 17 seconds. But if you build with the density of the densest GD level, you wouldn't need even that. In fact, you would need only 12 seconds to run out of your 80k objects if you build at the same density as Woodkid by Jakers. That's right, the densest level in the history of Geometry Dash is the masterpiece that Jakers started over 3 years ago. Featuring incredibly detailed artwork, amazing designs and a young dasher's first introduction to PP growth, it clocks in at a massive 6.67 thousand objects per second. Ooh, that's a lot! It is 800,000 objects distributed just over 120 seconds. But wait just a second. While Woodkid may be the most dense GD level that's ever been created, it was never finished and released. And you might say that for a level to qualify as the densest GD level, it has to be finished and verified. In which case, the title of the densest GD level doesn't go to Woodkid, but instead goes to the number 2 spot, Enantiomorphs, which has been released and is even a featured insane demon in Geometry Dash. But what is Geometry Dash? I mean, what does it mean? Well, in English, the word geometry comes from the Old French géométrie, which itself comes from the Latin Greek derived word geometria. Geo meaning earth or land and metria meaning a measure of. So, geometry means the measure of land, which is what geometry was originally invented for. The history of geometry goes back to at least 2000 BC in ancient Mesopotamia, where geometry was created to make it easier to survey and divide up land. But let's get back to Geometry Dash, because we've only answered half the puzzle. What does dash mean? Dash, as defined by the Oxford Advanced Learner's Dictionary, stands for an act of going somewhere suddenly and or quickly. And the word probably comes from Scandinavian languages like the Swedish daska or the Danish daske, which mean to beat up. So, take it literally, Geometry Dash means a quick dose of geometry. Which is not very descriptive of the game, but then again, GD's fundamental core is that it's made out of simple geometric shapes, like cubes and triangles, which you are dashing past, especially after update 1.7, which introduced the speed portals, like the 3x speed portal. Wait, the 3x speed portal? What's up with that? I mean, this portal doesn't make your speed 3 times as fast as usual, but only 1.5. By the way, the other portal names are also wrong. The 4 times speed portal actually makes your speed only 1.75 times as fast, the 2 times speed portal makes you 1.25 times as fast, and the 0.5 times speed portal? Not remotely half your normal speed, but 4/5 or 0.8. But then again, who cares? It doesn't matter if a name doesn't describe the thing it is naming as long as everyone can agree on what the name is. Geometry Dash doesn't describe itself, nor do the speed portals, except for the normal speed portal. They are misnomers. Names that don't describe the thing they are naming. But are level names misnomers? While it is easy to be cynical and say that most levels are named after random words as their names have nothing to do with the level itself, is that actually true? Let's look at our list. Ocular miracle literally means a miracle to the eyes. It is describing the way the level is meant to be one of the greatest in GD history. Corn is themed after a corn from Warhammer. Starlight Carnival is named after the Sonic the Hedgehog stage it was based on. Enantiomorphs is named after, well, enantiomorphs, 2 geometrical forms which are mirror images of each other. But you are not an enantiomorph of your mother. In fact, no one is. This is because humans do not asexually reproduce. But some species of tardigrades do, using parthenogenesis. Tardigrades are an interesting species. They are incredibly tiny, at 0.5 millimeters long. Yet, despite their tiny size, they are still incredibly strong. Tardigrades are the first species on Earth that is known to be able to survive in outer space. They can survive temperatures ranging from 1 degree above absolute zero to 420 Kelvin. That's 150 degrees Celsius or 300 degrees Fahrenheit. They have been found all the way down from 4,000 meters deep in the ocean to 6,000 meters up in the mountains of Himalaya. Tardigrades are even thought to be capable of surviving mass extinctions. Even at monstrously harsh conditions, these little guys just don't seem to give up. There may be multiple answers to which GD level has the most objects, but there is only one answer to the question, can you get better at creating, which is a firm yes. Anyone can learn to create, it doesn't matter their age, skill or background. What matters is that, just like the tardigrades, you never give up. Always aspire to be the best you can. Failure is not an end, giving up is. And, as always, thanks for watching. Holy fuck, this was a stupid April Fool's video.